Team Ashleybenefield has filed 4 new motions since she was convicted of manslaughter back in late July for the unaliving of her late husband, Douglas Benefield, in an act of what she claims was self defense. Now, in one of these motions, the defense requests to interview the jurors because of what they claim there could be potential juror misconduct. All this and more in today's video. Hello, and welcome to Alexa's Room, where we are not lawyers, we are not medical professionals, we are not law enforcement, and we are not journalists. We are just people who have opinions about all things going on in the true crime community, including what the heck is going on with the Ashleybenefield case. Now, last we left off, yes, Ashleybenefield, the former Florida ballerina who was originally charged with second-degree murder for the unaliving of her late husband, Douglas Benefield, in an act of self-defense, or what she claims. She was ultimately found guilty of manslaughter, so the second-degree murder charge is off the table. However, in these recent motions, and there's 4, so we're not going to go through all of them in this video. I'll probably break it down because one of the motions, the request for a new trial, is about 26 pages long. But I just want to keep things short and sweet today for this video and as digestible as possible. So we're going to start with this request to interview the jurors. But before we get into that, I want to go over this TikTok that was recently posted. Actually, it was only posted yesterday by Eva Benefield, the daughter of Douglas Benefield. And as you can see here, she's got this document pulled up behind her. And I also have a copy of this as well, too. We will read through it, but I want to watch through this TikTok with you first, where she's going through the substance of what this email says. And in this email, this was an email sent by some person named Adam, who Ashleybenefield was allegedly communicating with throughout the years of 2018 to 2019. So at that point, I believe that they were living separately. But this person claims that they were communicating with Ashleybenefield, and she was essentially confessing all of the things that were going on in the relationship and how miserable she was, and allegedly looking for a hitman. This is what the email says. Now, I posted this earlier. I am not necessarily inclined to believe this as true or not true. One, there's a ton of grammatical errors. Not to say that that means anything. Some people just are bad at texting or writing through email, and that's fine. That's understandable. However, they are sending this email to a judge. So for me personally, you would think they would, I don't know, maybe use spell check or something to that extent if you want to be taken seriously. But the issue I more have with this email in particular is there are no Facebook message screenshots that have been attached. Now, this person has expressed that they are willing to share screenshots or share any information of that Facebook conversation that they need. But my question is, why now? Why now? And if you were allegedly trying to contact the judge for months about this, why were you trying to contact the judge, not the DA's office? So I have some questions about this, but I want to watch through this TikTok first. You guys let me know if you think this is legit or just somebody who's trying to involve themselves in the case. Does it stink to you, or do you think that there is some legitimacy in some of these claims? Is it possible? So this is, again, Doug's daughter, Eva, who is reading. I don't know how she got access to this information, but somehow she got access to this email. So she's going to be reading it through, kind of recapping and talking about it in this video.
A little trial update. This morning I was informed that on August 3rd, this was entered into the Manatee County Clerk's office for this case or whatever. Somebody emailed the judge, and I asked if I can post this, but it's very interesting. This person emailed the judge, and they basically just like, y'all can read it, but I mean, they'd been Facebook messaging Ashley, and Ashley was expressing her concerns like she did in the trial about her safety, and then she said, yes, I didn't know anything about guns. She was going to carry out the murder. However, she had asked me to harm Doug and that she would be safe, and also said we could be together. I said, no way, that's crazy.
So, again, it's a little hard to follow, and I know it's hard to read here on this little green room background thing that Eva has going on. We are going to actually read through the document itself, and you'll be able to read it. I'll also share it for you if you want to go through it in your own time. No problem there. But what she's saying is that's not Ashley speaking, it's the person speaking about themselves. So they don't have experience handling firearms. And they are saying that Ashley, I guess, was flirting with them and saying that, oh, we can be together if you do this for me. So kind of fishing. Again, this is alleged. This is what this person's alleging happened, that she was fishing for some help in terms of unaliving Doug, which would mean that this was premeditated.
What is he really doing to you for you to want to harm him? She always kept changing the subject around into me, and at the time she stated to me that she had over $1 million in life insurance and also army benefits that she would get each month. I don't know if this is true. We spoke for some months.
And this is where I also agree that I don't know if that is true because, as we know, folks, Doug was broke. And according to one of Eva's TikToks, is that he stopped paying out his life insurance, Douglas Benefield, months prior to his death. So I don't know how true or not true it is, but also why would he give Ashley all his money if Eva is his beloved daughter that he loves so much, and he didn't understand why Ashley just couldn't get along with Eva and why she always created these problems around Eva. So this is why I'm a little skeptical about this piece of information. But again, if these messages come through and they are confirmed and vetted and verified, this could change things, at least in my opinion, from my perspective. However, I am not inclined to necessarily believe it. Let's take it with a grain of salt until more information comes through.
Months after these questions, she kept on and on about doing this. She also said she was doing things around the house to make it look like he was doing things to harm her, but in fact he did nothing. We spoke moving guns around little trips so she could come up with planting things and also coming up with an opportunity to end his life. She said she also sent me photos of the house and other details. She also hated her older child. She stated she for okay, I don't understand. Little things, and that Doug always stuck up for the older child, aka me, older child. I know she hated me actually. But that's not the first time I've heard that she was trying to put a hit out on my dad. And I wanted to say this the entire trial, that like I've known that it was probably premeditated, but there's not enough evidence to support it. I don't know what this means for the trial. I don't know if it's going to change anything. I'm still very happy with the verdict, but it is frustrating to know that she wanted to put a hit out on my dad. There was another person involved that informed me that somebody was working at a place that she used to work, and she was constantly looking for somebody to hire to put a hit out on my dad. And they told that I was informed of that the day of our closing argument. So there was nothing we could do about it because they'd have to open an investigation on it. But yeah, crazy shit. A little.
So she's saying too, and this is the other thing that makes me a little sketchy and hesitant to buy into this, because I know I've been shouting from the rooftops that I believe Ashley. I believe she was a survivor and also an active victim of DV. That's not a lie. I posted a series of videos covering this trial. You can go check them out. So I am naturally going to be skeptical. However, if there's evidence and this is true, I mean, this could be like a whole, except a successful version of the Dahlia DiPolito case, another case where a woman was looking for a hitman. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in the long run, but this is what that kind of sounds like if this is the case. But again, until we get more information, until we learn more, we're not going to really know. And which feels a little stinky to me is the fact that this she's hearing these things from these people who had essentially 4 years to come forward. I mean, it's not like this case has been just unraveling over the last, year or 6 months or even 2 years. This has been dragging out for 4 years. We had the stand your ground hearing. They had ample time. If this is true, and not for nothing, if this person in the email had been communicating with her in 2018 to 2019, I mean, that's 6 years ago, 6 ago. So you had 5 to 6 years to come forward. You knew the trial was likely coming up. So why wait so long? And that's my opinion. And what they claim is that they are afraid of Ashley. So now I want to go through the actual. I guess it's labeled as a motion. I don't know if this would be technically considered a motion, but this is more of a notice of filing email. So this is just the judge sharing it with the assistant. I guess they're called instead of ADAs in Florida, they're called ASAs. So Suzanne O'Donnell, the lead prosecutor on this case, and then the defense attorney for Ashley, Mr. Taylor. And that's also weird. It says Attorney Taylor. I don't know why. So like I said, I didn't want to dox anybody, so I need to just quickly pull up this separate file that has the email. So I want to read through this. And again, you guys let me know what you think. This was sent on Saturday, August 3rd. So 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago. And a few days, 4 days after the verdict came in. Now, I'll link it in the description box below if you want to read along, but just reading out loud to the class now. It says, Dear Judge, my name is Adam. I have been trying to contact you for many, many months. What do you mean by this? And again, I'm going to stop and pause and ask a lot of questions, and maybe these are some of the questions that are going through your head as well, too. But many, many months. How many months is many, many months? And why were you trying to contact them? Because again, if you were afraid to come forward, then why have you been trying to contact the judge for many, many months? And why contact the judge? Why not contact the DA's office? Wouldn't that be, or the police that were investigating this case? Just a question I had, right? I hope this find you well. So this is going to be a little tricky for me to read. So if I stutter a little bit, please bear with me. This is how they are writing it. I'm going to also zoom in a little bit more so you can see easier. I hope this find you well. This is ref. So I guess referring uh, Ashleybenefield murder trial case. I have some details. So it's all run on sentences. There's no periods, there's nothing. So I mean, if you're trying to get a judge's attention, like obviously he's going to share everything with everybody, right? Because you have to. But I mean, this just stinks to me. I don't know. It just feels a little off, in my opinion. I have some details that may help you in the case. I would have come forwards soon, but I didn't know the trial was happening or that Ashley had acted out on her plans. In 2018/2019, me and Ashley spoke on Facebook and Facebook Messenger. I had messaged Ashley, so they initiated contact with her. And we had had long chats back and forth for many months, getting to know each other. We shared our life's up and downs. Ash, okay, so I guess they were pretty tight, had shared many things with me, and she expressed many times. So they use, and if you guys, any of you guys are like linguists or anything like that, or you know people that go through can go through text and wording and interpret certain things, I would love a breakdown of this. I know I said that with the Mr. Beast document as well too, in my last video, but I would be curious because there's a lot of repetition with many, many months, many times. So just little things like that. That she was unhappy and that she had fears that he, meaning Doug, was going to take her baby away from her and that she will be alone and have nothing, which is essentially what the prosecution's case was entirely built upon, is that Doug wanted to take her baby away and she was going to do anything at all costs, no matter what it was, to keep her baby away from Doug. She shared with me that he kept following them and staying in his car, watching them. She said she was scared and worried that he may do something to harm her. I said, had she done anything to hurt Ashley? Now I gotta go back. Because again, it's so hard to follow. She shared with me that he kept following them. So I guess her and her baby, staying in his car, watching them. She said she was scared and worried that he may do something to harm her. And which is all really consistent. with her feeling in fear for her life, right? Up until that moment. So that's interesting. I mean, it's not like he's saying, "Oh, she was making it up," and, "Oh, she was, you know, telling me all these things, but then doing this other thing, contradicting herself." So, I mean, that so far seems pretty consistent. I said, "Had she done anything to hurt Ashley?" So I guess he meant he there? Had she done, because who else would be the she? She who had hurt Ashley, unless he meant he, as in Doug. In the past, she said yes. I didn't know anything about firearms or that she was going to carry out the murder. However, she had asked me to harm Doug and that she would be safe. And she also said that we could be together. I stated, "No way, that's crazy. What is he really doing to you for you to want to harm him?" She always kept changing the subject around into me, so I guess around back to me. And at the time, she stated to me she had over $1 million in life insurance and also army benefits that she would get each month. I do not know if this is true. I mean, at least they're admitting, I don't know if this is true. I mean, how there's probably no way that they would know. But again, if you were trying to get in contact with the judge for many, many months, again, I mean, try, what do you mean by tried? Did you try emailing them and, like, the emails weren't going through and they were being ignored? Or were you too afraid that you attempted to do it? So I'm a little confused on what you mean about that, but I feel like because they were going for the gold digger theory, which I know some of you guys in the audience believe. You believe that she was a gold digger and after Doug's money, but that was debunked because Doug didn't have money. He was actually sued for taking other people's money and using it for not the thing that he was supposed to be using the money for. That is documented. That is true. But I also find it interesting, and I said this before, if he did have over $1 million in life insurance, again, like, wouldn't that be something that prosecution would have looked into? Because you know that the Cruellas, the evil stepsisters, right? They were so eager to just point and wag their finger at Ashley and say, "Oh, she wanted Doug's money and she was this young, beautiful thing after this older guy." And, that was her motive. And then they kept changing the motive and the reason why she did this. And then it became about the baby and how Doug allegedly wanted sole custody of the kid, which never actually came into evidence during trial, but magically during the rebuttal, which was interesting. But I think, again, I mean, how easy would this be to prove? And why wouldn't this be? This would be a linchpin for the prosecution, right? They would, I mean, that's the smoking, figuratively speaking, that's their smoking gun, right? She had over $1 million in life insurance. Don't you think that they wouldn't have looked into that? I mean, that's just me. And also, army benefits, but he wasn't in the army. Wasn't he in the Air Force or the Navy? Was he in the Navy or the Air Force? I think he was in the Air Force, correct? So I don't know. Look, I'm speaking out of my butt right now because I don't know, but I'm assuming that maybe he could have misspoke and he said army benefits, but that's also something else that stuck out to me is that he wasn't in the army, he was in the Air Force. Okay, but then why didn't Eva get any of that? Unless Ashley changed everything over in her name. But I feel like if that were the case, wouldn't the prosecution have found that and wouldn't, I don't know. I'm just speculating here. I'm just asking questions. These are the questions that come up for me while I'm reading this. Why I'm a little hesitant to buy into this right away. We spoke for some months after this questions. She kept on and on about doing this. She also said that she was doing things around the house to make it look like he was doing things to harm her, but in fact, he did nothing. We spoke about moving firearms around, taking little trips, but and also too, I just want to add, like, this is very vague. This is very vague. So, like, moving things around the house to make it look like what? Like, for example, because I feel like if there is legitimacy to this and I was coming forward with serious allegation, a serious accusation of, "Hey, this is what happened," and you have receipts to back it up, one, I would just openly provide it, and I say, Here are some screenshots, right? Here's our conversation to prove." One example is this thing. She told me she was going to do this. She was going to do this. She sent me a picture, something like that. But this is so oddly vague to me, and it kind of stinks in my opinion. He was doing things to harm her, but in fact he did nothing. But you also, how do you know? How do you know if all she's been claiming up until this point that she was afraid for her life and she was afraid he was following her? And she said that she was scared and that he was following her. We spoke about moving firearms around, taking little trips so she could come up with planting things, or also coming up with an opportunity to end his life. She also sent me a photo of the house. Okay, where's the photo of the house? And other details, she also hated her older child. I mean, that sounds pretty and like, obviously, as Eva's reading this, she's going to think like, wow, like this is, huge, right? This is a huge breakthrough. And hopefully, I don't know if this can do anything. Um, I don't think it can do anything to favor the prosecution necessarily, because she can't get tried again for second degree. That would be double jeopardy, no? So, I don't really know. She stated she fought about little things and that Doug always stuck up for the older child. I mean, this is all stuff we know. Like, we know, not that I don't even wanna go, like, she had a complicated relationship with Eva, of course she did. She's a stepmother, she's young. She's closer to Eva's age than she is to Doug's age. Eva's mom just passed away 9 months prior. Wasn't invited to the wedding, just met this woman who's just now random. Of course she's not gonna like her. Of course she's always gonna be a little bit cynical towards her. And, Ashley not probably being ready to be a mom is now not only a parent, but a parent to a teenager. And he goes, she was very flirtatious and desperate to maintain contact. However, I didn't want to be a part of this. But you kept messaging her. How long were you speaking to her for? Like, for many months? Like, I'm it's so unspecific, which is again why I'm not really inclined to take this, 100% to be true. And desperate to maintain contact, however, I didn't want to be part of this. She kept messaging me and calling me on Facebook. I give us permission to look at the chats between us. I give us permission, okay? I'm in fear of coming forwards and being involved with her again and being out on national TV, and she scares me a lot. And there's no signature other than him just saying, "Hey, I'm Adam." Like, I don't know, did ChatGPT write this? Because it's just this stings to me. I just don't I'm not buying it. It seems a little odd, it seems a little strange, it seems a little forced. In my opinion, there's not any specific claims about what she did. It's all very vague. But what say you guys? Do you think that there is some legitimacy to this? Do you think that this is just some rando who's trying to insert themselves into the case, is trying to stir the pot? Is it some rando who maybe is a little, I don't know, butthurt that maybe they liked Ashley? I don't know. I don't know. But until I see some screenshots and evidence, I'm not going to really take it 100% seriously. So that's the first part of what I wanted to go over. Now I want to go over this motion to interview the jurors. This is 8 pages long, so that's why I wanted to. And the next motions are a little bit longer, so I'll break that down in another video. But this is shocking. If this is true, and this feels legit because the defense does bring receipts, quoting case numbers. Yes, case numbers, because allegedly one of these jurors was involved in a DV case themselves. So if this is true, which it kind of seems like it is, And some of the other crap that's being alleged in this, that is wild. And how did they possibly skate their way through into the jury deliberation room? I have no idea. And remember, in Florida, folks, unless it's a capital murder case, there are only 6 jurors. Instead of 1/12, it's 1/6 of the jury room. So I want to go through this and then let me know what you think about all of this. So, motion to interview jurors. Ashley C. Benefield by and through undersigned counsel and pursuant to Rule 3.575 of the Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure in conjunction with and as part of her motion for new trial. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit hot in here. Um, Hereby moves the court to conduct interviews of the jurors in the instant matter. As grounds in support of the requested relief, Miss Benefield submits as followed. So on July 30, the jury rendered its verdict. Remember, they came in, they only deliberated, I believe, for 6.5 hours or so. They were punching in some late overtime hours that day. Evidence has come to light indicating that the verdict may be subject to legal challenge due to juror misconduct. This alleged misconduct not only violates the court's explicit instructions, but also infringes upon the defendant's constitutional right to a fair trial and impartial jury and subjects the verdict to legal challenge. Let me take a little sip of the water before we go to point 3. This is where it gets spicy, y'all. During jury deliberations, a YouTube user, that hoodie guy, posted comments on the Law and Crime Network's YouTube live stream. It's like the Wild West out there, y'all. Of the verdict watch. These comments contained real-time information that could have only originated from within the jury room, suggesting a breach of the court's instructions, the sanctity of jury deliberations, jury sequestration, and Miss Benefield's right to a fair trial. So there is a notice how they say not a YouTuber. This is a YouTube user and a trial watcher, or a trial watcher for this particular case, and you will find out why in a second. So the comments posted on July 30, 2024 reveal, so they're coming in full-fledged. This is, if you're going to make allegations, whether it's in an email or an affidavit, that's the other thing too with that email, not to go back and forth, but I mean, if there was legitimacy to it, why not swear to an affidavit? Again, go to the DA's office, make a phone call. Like, wouldn't that be easier than trying to contact the judge? Again, it just smells a little fishy to me. But that's my opinion. So at 10:20 p.m., 10 minutes before the parties were notified that a verdict had been reached, that hoodie guy, I can't even take that seriously, posted a comment stating verdict incoming, exhibit A1. So they got screenshots, I'm assuming. 10:25 p.m., that hoodie guy posted a comment stating per sources 5-1 guilty, with the man stuck on not guilty or manslaughter, exhibit A2. Now here's the thing. How would he know? How would this person know that there was a man on the jury? Now, granted, to be fair, if they were following this very, very closely, when we had that little, like, I guess it would be considered a voir dire, where the judge was asking, there was that whole big thing that stirred up on one of the trial days. I think it was one of the last days when the defense started their case, where jurors went out to lunch and the guy was at the deli and there was news about the case and he walked out allegedly. So maybe that's how they would have known there was a guy on the jury. But again, other than that, I mean, the jurors' identities are anonymous to us. Aside from them just hearing them and their voices, we have no idea. But nevertheless, how would you know what any of the split would be unless you were in the room or you're just making up bullshit. So there is also that. But again, there's another exhibit. So likely a screenshot. Also, I cannot stand people who write in all caps. If you write on all caps in a comment on my channel, just expect to get it removed. At 10:27 p.m., that hoodie guy posted a comment saying, "My sister snuck a flip phone in." Like, what a freaking moron, one, but thank God for idiots. Like, thank God for idiots. And this is why I thank God for the idiots in the Karen Reed case too, right? The Jen McCabe's, all of these idiots with these little inconsistencies. And when you slip up and say stupid things, and clearly intentionally, because I don't know why this guy wouldn't think, oh, somebody's not going to see. It's the internet. Everybody can find anything. And of course, the defense is going to do some hard freaking digging to get their client the best shot at getting a retrial or getting her verdict overturned. They're going to do everything. So, knockout, drag out, as Stephanie Murphy likes to say. But also, too, I can imagine that somebody came to the defense. Now, there hasn't been any affidavits that have come forward swearing this and saying, like, hey, yeah, I was the one to leak this to the defense. But they have screenshots, it seems, Exhibit A3. So, okay. And we know that long crime chat, guys, and how they like to leave it up even after the fact. So, yeah. But that was at 10:27 because they were deliberating late that night on July 30. And he's saying his sister snuck a flip phone in. I'm just also questioning the flip phone thing, but okay. Um, okay. At 10:28 p.m., that hoodie guy posted a comment saying, "I am the brother of one of the jurors. She just texted me this. Per sources." Why would she text you that? If she was one of the jurors, why would she say per sources? That's so weird. 5-1 guilty with a man stuck on not guilty or manslaughter. So the guy on the jury, according to that hoodie guy, was not going to vote guilty. If I'm reading this correctly on any of the charges, which is wow. Like that's interesting. That's interesting. He was the holdout. Okay. And I can imagine because he probably looked at Ashley and was like, wow, that could have been my daughter. That's my speculation. I don't know if this guy has a kid or not, or if this is any true, but if it is, I can imagine the reason why he probably was stuck on not guilty was because he probably saw, his sister maybe or his daughter or this in Ashley. So I could see the sympathetic dad vibe coming through. Then at 10:28 again, he posts another comment stating, "My sister snuck a flip phone in. She texted me 5-1 guilty, may compromise on manslaughter." Exhibit A5. So he's giving these people a play-by-play. I mean, this is just so utter. If this is true, and it seems like, I mean, at least these comments are true, but whether or not this guy is legitimately related to a person of the jury, I mean, they're like, I don't know what repercussions these people can face, but I mean, like, this isn't right. This isn't right. And then meanwhile, people are like screaming their heads off about Aiden Carney allegedly doxing some of the jurors in the Karen Reed case. I'm like, whereas this guy is literally doxing and saying, my sister's on the jury, and here's what they're saying. Like, no, dude. Yikes. 10:30 p.m., a mere 2 minutes after that hoodie guy posted the jury may compromise on manslaughter, the jury returned a compromise verdict of manslaughter. So that's 2 minutes after. Timing and specificity of these comments, followed by corresponding jury actions, strongly suggest that that hoodies guy's information originated from within the jury room during active deliberations. I mean, yeah. But also, too, here's my question. Is like, did nobody, like, see her texting? Like, was she that good at hiding it? I don't know what the jury rooms look like when they're deliberating in, especially in Manatee County. I don't know if anybody served who's in the audience, like, would love I would love to hear your own experiences as a deliberating juror and what that was like, but I mean, yeah, I again, if this is true and they would have the timestamps, I could pull that easily. Then yeah, how would he know this information? Um, this represents a breach of the jury's sworn duty and impacts the fairness of these proceedings, subjecting to the verdict legal challenge. So I am curious. I want to look this up real quick because I am curious to see, like, are there repercussions that the juror could face, like, legally, criminally? I don't know. I don't know. Is it the same as, like, perjury? So the only thing it says, and I'm sure this varies from state to state, is that if there is misconduct, it could just be grounds for a new trial, which is great for Ashley, but I feel like there should be consequences for the juror as well too. Like, you should have to pay some kind of restitution. In my opinion, you should have to pay some kind of restitution because you're locking up this woman who could potentially be found innocent, and you conducted yourself poorly. You violated what you swore to as your duty as a juror, and that's not right in my opinion. And I feel like they should be held accountable, and it should be more than just, yeah, the defendant gets a new trial, which I'm sure in the grand scheme of things, that's the only thing they care about, is trying to get as many opportunities to overturn their conviction, right, or get another shot at it. But I think there should be consequences to these people because otherwise they could just do whatever they want. It's like, "Oh, you screwed up. Okay, well, they get a new trial." But what happens to the juror? Like, this stinks. I feel like there needs to be some kind of accountability, some kind of action that needs to come down on the juror that's obviously, and, like, doing it purposely. Like, this is like, not only are they just, "Oh, I accidentally, went on Facebook and I saw something and I went down the, group rabbit hole, Ashleybenefield Facebook group rabbit hole, yada, yada, yada," or, "Oh, I just happened to see a news article." I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this woman allegedly brought in a flip phone and was actively communicating with her brother. Like, it needs to be more than a slap on the wrist. There needs to be some accountability, in my opinion. This, like, actually pisses me off because these people, if they do get picked again for jury duty, or they shouldn't be allowed to serve on another jury or something like that. But what do you guys think? What do you think the juror should be held accountable for something? Not that it necessarily matters until a law is created, but I mean, my God, this is you're playing with somebody's life. This alleged misconduct raises serious concerns about the integrity of the jury deliberations and the reliability of the verdict. Specifically, it raises questions about a juror smuggling an electronic device into deliberations, which is not permitted in the jury room, real time communication of confidential jury deliberations with non jury members, influences external to the evidence presented during the trial may have influenced the verdict, access to unauthorized materials affecting the verdict, the overall integrity of the fact finding process being compromised. The prompt removal of these comments from the Verdict Watch on the Long Crime Network's YouTube channel live stream further underscores the seriousness of this. Oh, so I guess they tried to remove it like after the verdict came in. Curious. Somebody probably screenshotted it and sent it to the defense. I'm so curious. And are we going to see an affidavit? Because I mean, we know Mr. Taylor. He's the old guy who doesn't know how to work. He doesn't know how technology works. He doesn't know anything about the TikToks or the YouTubes. None of that. So I'm curious. Maybe it was his paralegal on the tiny desk. Who knows? In addition to the above, evidence has come to light indicating that the verdict may be subject to legal challenge due to Juror 15 So I guess this is their name. Um, that's good that they didn't dox them. Being untruthful during voir dire by falsely representing that she had not been a victim of a crime. So this is where it gets like really, really juicy. So this same juror who smuggled in a flip phone and was texting her idiot brother, thank you, idiot brother, for commenting in the Law and Crime YouTube verdict watch chat, which is the worst place to do that, but okay. Now she also lied about being a victim of a crime. Her son had been charged with a crime. And I didn't know this actually. So not only herself but her son, and she had involvement in a child custody slash DV abuse matters. DV, which is in child custody, which is exactly what this case was all about. There's no way you would have made it through unless you lied. Unless you lied. Juror 15 completed a jury questionnaire under the penalties of perjury, which asked, have you or a member or of your immediate family been a victim of a crime? So not only did she lie once, she lied twice. Actually, multiple times, because she also smuggled in a cell phone, which asked, have you or a member of your immediate family, juror 15 responded untruthfully to the question by omitting that she had been a victim of a crime, battery, touch or strike, domestic related on February 20th. I don't know why they doxed the year, but okay. When her live-in boyfriend blank intentionally slapped her in the face with an open hand 5 times, and 2, that her son blank had been charged with felony battery against his pregnant girlfriend on August 31, for which juror 15 was the bond depositor. Where is like that like I need one of those. Like, huh? What? What? Let's read that again. Now, I will say, like, I don't like the fact that this person is a survivor of DV. That's upsetting. That is, and I feel for that. Like, that is so terrible, and I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that happened to you. Shouldn't have happened. And that's interesting because of the open hand thing, because that was what Ashley was alleging. And isn't it interesting? Just to go back to the evil stepsisters, right? Where they were making such a big deal about, was it a closed fist? Was it an open hand? Because if it's an open hand slap, then it's not really abuse, right? It's not really DV, but it has to be a closed fist. So why is it that this person who belongs to this county is a victim of a crime where it's considered battery, touch or strike, DV related or domestic related, for getting hit in the face with an open hand 5 times? Why is that considered battery and domestic related, but when Ashley claims it, it's minimized? It's not a big deal, like open hand. Because that's how the prosecution made it out to be. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out those closing arguments where they really make a big deal of it. So that's something that also bothers me here too. Not about this specific juror, but about the county and what they, when it seems to suit them. Now I don't know what year this was. It probably was, and maybe it wasn't the same investigator. I don't know, working this case. That guy, what was that schmucky guy, his name, who didn't contact the lead investigator, who was the DV unit crimes guy? What was his name? He was another bald-headed douche. Not that bald guys are douchebags. My brother-in-law is bald. He's a great man. But I mean, if you stink like Proctor and you walk like Proctor and you behave like a proctor, then guess what? You are a proctor. So there, instead of using douche, let's use proctor as that synonym. But this is all stuff that they could easily look up, easily get records of. It's so bizarre to me. On March 18, Juror 15 filed a petition for injunction for protection against DV against Mr. Blank, and the 12th Judicial Circuit Court informed Manatee County, Florida, case number. So they're quoting case numbers. They're quoting case numbers. We don't know them. But I mean, if this motion gets heard and it's filmed, I mean, we'll know. Maybe we'll know more. The allegations of the latest act of violence or threat of violence provided that Blank grabbed Juror 15 by her hair and repeatedly hit her in the face, causing a black eye. Sorry, trigger warning, guys. I'm sorry, I didn't cue that up properly. Damage to the inside of her mouth and swollen face. A copy of the petition is attached here too as Exhibit 40. And again, I just want to say, like, as frustrated as I am with this juror, I don't know them. I don't know what they've been through. I don't know if what they were alleging was true or not true, but clearly there are case numbers, there are court documents, there are things in place that are similar to what Ashley was trying to do, essentially, was file the injunctions, etc. And I feel bad. Like, I do. Like, that's absolutely awful, and I'm so, so, so sorry that that happened to you, Juror 15. However, you should know better than. You should know better. Like, why lie? Why lie? That's the frustrating part. Why lie? And I'm sorry you went through that thing, and that's horrible. Sorry you went through this. It's absolutely horrible that you did. I 100% feel for you. That's awful if that's true. But that's not why we're frustrated. We're frustrated that you lied about it. That you openly lied about it. And not just about you, but your also piece of garbage son who allegedly was charged with felony battery against his pregnant girlfriend. Committing a crime. It was on the jury questionnaire. Juror 15 was a respondent in a petition for injunction for protection against DV filed on September 2nd by her ex-husband. So I guess this is the same guy seeking protection for himself. So now the ex-husband is seeking protection for himself and their minor child. So not even just him, his child. The 12th Judicial Circuit Court in Manatee County, Florida. Case number, a copy of blank petition is attached here to as Exhibit E and provides in part. Juror 15 being threatening and violent, including cussing, slamming doors, threatening, and throwing things at him, requested that his son come and stay with him until Juror 15 can get some help. Juror 15 attempted suicide and was hospitalized on or about July 18. She called and told Mr. Blank that she was going to kill herself. Who does that sound like? That sounds a lot like kind of what Doug. This is just upsetting, and I'm sorry. All these trigger warnings, constant harassment, and threats to his wife and himself. So I guess they mean to herself and himself. Fear that Jury 15 might try to take his son's life along with hers the next time she tries to kill herself. Jesus. Request to keep his son till Juror 15 as well. Specifically, he requested supervised visitation till Juror 15 showed that she was stable mentally and financially. So there could have been maybe some mental health issues here, and that's sad. Like, I don't wanna drag this person because it's sad. That's extremely upsetting, and I don't wanna come across that way, but I don't like what they did. I don't. I don't like what they did to Ashley, if this is true. I don't, because then you should know. If you went through it and you've experienced similar things, you should want a fair trial for her, because you know it from both sides. Juror 15 was also a respondent in another petition for injunction protection against DV filed on April 23 by her ex-husband seeking protection on behalf of their minor child in the 12th Judicial Circuit Court in Manatee County, Florida, case number blank, a copy of blank, second petition. So this not only one petition, but two petitions by this ex-husband. Second petition is attached here to as Exhibit F and provides in part Juror 15 picked up his son by the arms and slammed him. Jesus. Oh my gosh. The minor child, while visiting with blank, expressed that he was afraid to go home. A report of child abuse was filed with the blank police department and likely visited by what DCS it's called in Florida, or I know it's CPS in I think New York, but I'm just wondering if a lot of like there was definitely some interconnecting dots. A lot of the people that may have been involved with, because Ashley, remember too, alleged that there could have been child A, right? So I'm wondering if some of the same people that were involved with her case were maybe involved with this. I don't know how old this was. How long ago it was. A report of child A filed with the blanked police department. I don't know why that's blocked out. Juror 15's boyfriend threatened to hunt blank down and kill him. So there's just like a whole lot of like disgusting stuff going on. Okay, so it's CPS. Ongoing investigation by CPS. Blank was seeking custody. The minor child was showing signs of being violent. Well, I mean, her other son was charged with felony battery. So this is upsetting. I need to sip. This is like I need a palate cleanser after this, y'all. This is upsetting. Juror 15's failure to reveal this information during voir dire moments amounts to juror misconduct and subjects the verdict to legal challenge, entitling Miss Benefield to a new trial. This motion is filed within the 10-day period prescribed by Rule 3.575 to address this urgent matter. Given the nature of the alleged misconduct, Miss Benefield asserts that there is reason to believe that the verdict is subject to legal challenge on multiple grounds, including but not limited to juror misconduct. I mean, yeah, again, if that's clear, if she snuck the cell phone in, even if she didn't even text, like, that's already juror misconduct. Period. End of story. Introduction of extraneous prejudicial information, influences external to the evidence presented during the trial may have influenced the verdict. I mean, yeah, do you have receipts though for that? Because I'm definitely on board with this. But I mean, right here, this just feels a little speculative, but I definitely think this is the strong juror misconduct. I mean, that's obvious. That's obvious. If they did sneak in a phone, that's obvious. Yeah, violation of jury sequestration, violation of the defendant's 6th and 14th Amendment rights, jurors potentially receiving evidence outside the court proceedings. So yeah, but where is the evidence to back this one up though? That's my question. I haven't seen anything in this motion yet to necessarily confirm that they were getting outside information like in from the brother. Unless we can subpoena the cell phone other than what, because all we know is what was said in the long crime chat, but what about what was said in the text messages between this woman and her brother? I'm curious if they could subpoena that. Um, yeah, prejudicial information. Yeah, that too. That I'm on board with. So, the integrity of the judicial process and Miss Benefield's constitutional rights are at stake. This court has both the authority and the responsibility to investigate this matter fully, including granting permission to interview all jurors who served on this case, to wit, I guess that's all the jurors. Wherefore, Miss Benefield respectfully requests the court grant permission to interview all jurors who served on this case specifically, all the names of the jurors, I guess, expeditiously, I don't know how to say that. Expeditiously, I guess, set a time and place for the interviews to be conducted in the presence of the court. So they are just like going all in with this. It's so interesting because of how the Karen Reed defense team framed their motion to dismiss. They framed it as a motion to dismiss counts 1 and 3 because they came up with it was a totally separate issue. If you haven't been following that case, I've done a lot of coverage on it, but um it's interesting because here they're just framing it as we want to interview them instead of we want to dismiss this. However, they did file a motion for a new trial, so I think it's just interesting how different lawyers do different things or present things differently. Summons the jurors to appear at time and place set for the interviews. Grant any other relief this court deems just and proper under the circumstances. And that was signed by Neil G. Taylor Esquire on August 9. So that is the motion to interview jurors. I will link that in my description box. So I'm curious, I guess, how they do it in Florida. Let me look up this really. Yeah, because I know in the Alex Murdaugh case, from the little that I've followed with that one, that he might actually get another trial because of the Becky Hill stuff. So we might cover. If that's the case, we might cover his retrial if that turns out to be what happens. But in Florida, so according to this rule 3.575 that Neil Taylor had quoted in his motion to motion to interview the jurors, exactly, he worded it exactly how it states: may be subject to challenge, shall enter an order permitting the interview, setting therein a time and place for the interview of the juror or jurors, which shall be conducted in the presence of the court and the parties. But I believe in the Alex Murdaugh case, and please, y'all who have been following that, let me know if I'm not speaking incorrectly here, but the attorneys like actually went to the jurors' homes, like knocked on their doors and stuff to see what the split was or whatever, or get a jury poll from them. So and that, that's South Carolina, I believe. So totally different state, totally different laws. But in Florida, the way that they do it is you have to do it in the presence of the court. How I guess however the court seems fit, but probably in while the judge is on a bench. But with that being said, I mean, what do you guys think of the email? I think it's honestly, I don't know what to think. I'm just taking it with a grain of salt until I see actual receipts and screenshots and text message threads and or Facebook message threads between Ashley and this person. I would love to know more. I just feel like it's a little vague. It's with the run on sentences, the lack of grammar. It just feels a little fishy to me. There's not a whole lot of specific instances or examples. There's no photos or anything shared. So I'm inclined to not really believe it until I see more. But let me know what you guys think. And then, yeah, what about the motion to interview the jurors? Do you think that the defense has a legitimate shot at the court hearing this motion? We still have other motions to go through. This was only half, this was only 50%, but we will get into the next motions, the motion to a new trial And then what was the other one? Let me see. Yeah, the motion to acquittal and the motion to remove, disqualify, excuse me, Judge Whyte because of biases. The defense had some interesting claims in that one, so I'm excited to dig into that more with you in our next upcoming video, and then we'll dig back into more some Meester. Then we'll get back into some more Mr. Beast stuff as more and more unfolds there. But with that being said, thanks so much for watching, and if you found today's video fascinating, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss that next update from me, where we go and break down the remaining motions that were filed by Team Ashleybenefield in this case. We still have a ways to go before sentencing, so who knows what else is going to unfold. So don't want to miss out on that. Make sure you hit the notification bell, hit the like button, because that tells the YouTube algorithm that this is newsworthy news. And I think when it comes to cases about DV specifically, they're not talked about a lot. A lot of it, I know there's that new film that came out with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni from Jane the Virgin that came out that's all about DV. And I feel like this topic just generally isn't spoken about, especially on YouTube. It's hard to get around certain words and not speak as openly about it as we would like to. Um, Almost like we're supposed to continue to minimize some of the trauma and experiences that we've been through to kowtow to the YouTube algorithm so that our content doesn't get shadow banned. So it is hard to get a lot of these cases and a lot of the content around this through past the YouTube algorithm. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, because I think this is an important story and I think it's only the beginning. And if who knows how it's going to go down, who knows how much legitimacy there is to it. But with that last motion, in my opinion, at the very least, I feel like those are some serious accusations, and I feel like you're not going to roll up with something like that unless you have the receipts. And as we know about our boy Neil Taylor, he always has receipts. So that being said, I'll see you in the next one.